Not for We're on?
Yeah.
Okay, no countdown. Do you notice that again?
You were talking.
There's
Zero
zero
countdown.
countdown.
To get you down.
Nothing. It's just
Hello and welcome to another episode of Grange TV. We have with us Mr. David Roberts, once again, fucking up the count. Mr. Robert Whittaker, UFC middleweight champion. And we have with us Instagram model, jiu-jitsu coach, Alex Prates. Welcome, Alex. Alex is the head grappling coach for the Gracie programs here in Australia, and also Robert Whittaker's head grappling coach. In a little bit, we will be opening up the forum to questions about Rob and Alex's background and grappling.
thanks for coming, Coach.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
My pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
I guess, Alex, you want to tell us a little bit about your story? So I think you started grappling in Brazil. Did you begin with Brazilian top team?
Yeah, with Mario Spare. He has not Brazilian top team, but with Mario and Walter Matos, so kind of, like a Brazilian top team branch, sort of saying.
Was that pre-Brazilian top team?
That was pre-Brazilian top team, yeah. There was Carson Gracie back there. Mario used to still train with Carson, so it was Carson Gracie's team.
Were you there when Brazilian top team was formed?
Yes. Not there, like on the spot, but I was Mario's student when all that happened, yes.
So how did it happen? You guys were training with Mario, and you guys were under Carson Gracie?
No. In fact, we have a gym called South Jiu-Jitsu, Sul Jiu-Jitsu, in a Portuguese word. But even the logo was the same, like the bulldog of Carson Gracie's team. And I don't know exactly. It's not something that I know much to comment about how they end up splitting with Carson and that. But like that, everybody knows the history.
No. Well, what happened? That's why. Otherwise, we would have just told it.
No, as I said, I don't know the details about it. I think it was something related with percentage or things like that. So
but
I
what
really
happened?
don't know the details.
So but not the financial details. So what happened? Like they split.
They split and they formed the Brazilian top team. That's what happened. Like so 3 or 4 core guys from the Carson Gracie team end up splitting and starting the Brazilian top team, which is Libório, Mario Sperry, Murilo Bustamante, and Bebel Duarte.
I think I remember when we had the podcast previously, where it was mentioned that like it was always away. He was always away, and the guys were all training together. Like Libório and all those were always training together, like by themselves, and that was kind of what.
No, that's what Libório was saying.
Yeah.
And so were you there? Libório was there as well when you were there?
Yeah, but in another city. Libório and Carson was based in Rio. I was from South, so Mario went to South to open a gym. That's how I ended up training with him.
Okay. And so were you ever in the room during the Pride days when Murillo was fighting and all this?
Not really. Like we had Vitor Belfort coming to train with us for a few days. Like a lot of our guys used to go to Rio and train with the guys. Like I have been in training sessions with the Nogueira brothers, with Toquinho, with all those guys. But it was pretty far. Rio and my city is about 1,600 So, but we always have that relationship. It was the same team.
What was it like coming up under Mario Sperry and guys like that? You're close with Murillo as well, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I would say more now. I'm closer with Murillo than I was back there. But I guess the MMA side, like Mario always teach me jiu-jitsu. Don't know if I can say focus in MMA, but he was an MMA guy, back there. So the way he teaches jiu-jitsu was very like MMA orientated, so I think that's something that stayed with me.
Does that come from Carson?
I think that come from Carson, come with what he was doing back there, which was fighting MMA. Like they start fighting MMA, they had a good MMA team, so it was always, I think a few things I learned from him from the beginning, like helped me a lot to coach and end up being an MMA coach now. I think I actually was talking to you about changing the subject a bit, the fighting on the weekends. That I saw that young Brazilian there, and I saw
The middleweight fight.
The middleweight fight. Yeah, what's his name again?
Wellington, and I can't remember the surname.
Yeah, Wellington, and I see that happen a lot in grapplers that like especially jiu-jitsu guys that translate to that start fighting MMA, that they over grapple. You know, and I remember Mario always telling me that position is striking. Don't think about submissions. You know, submissions will come, and that's something that stick with me, that I try to pass to the guys I train. And of course there is exceptions, like we spoke about as well, Ryan Hall. You know, like there's always exception. The guys can go down and grapple straight away and gonna, you know, but
That guy's a freak, bud.
yeah. But I think that Wellington, he would maybe possibly change the result of the fight if he was thinking like, you know, Mario Sperry way of position striking, instead of, because he put the guy down two or three times and went straight to submissions, ended up losing the submission, ended up on the bottom. And you know, like as you guys know, they're all tough, athletic guys in MMA. So I think if you go with that mentality, I'm gonna put you down, I'm gonna hit you, like it's pretty simple, and a lot of times work open up the way for submissions, for, you know, transitions as well. So I think,
well, it's much easier to get a submission on a guy who's been hurt.
yeah,
Like it is. Like I think when I was younger, I got a lot of submissions in my earlier days, and that was only because I had such a control of it standing, I believe. You know.
yeah, but also it's easier to like find position and strike on the ground than go straight for submission, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially if another guy is athletic guy, like a tough guy, which usually is the like that you get when you fight MMA, especially on the top level.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to tap for a half.
And generally speaking, if you're looking at the fight like that, like you know, position striking, you're generally on top, and top looks like it's winning. And most of the time it is, but top look in the eyes of the judges and the eyes of everybody else. If you're on top, you look like you're winning. You know, that plays a big factor in a lot of the fights that end up on the ground or end up in close decisions.
Alex, you were some of your mentors that you have now, as you know, mentors that you have for jiu-jitsu, for combat, that have been around for a long time. Who are some of those guys?
I think we all like have those guys, you know, like have we all learn from not just myself, but all of us. We're very lucky we have, hopefully I will not forget anyone. We had Srgio Pena coming here, staying with us. We had Mario Sperry, my first coach. We had Rolly Gracie. We had Murilo Bustamante. We had Ricardo Liborio. You know, so I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Like they're all big experience, big names in jiu-jitsu, very experienced in the MMA well. Field, in the combat. Yeah. So, you know, I remember when Liborio was here, and there was Lucas was here. Lucas is a very good black belt, Lucas Sachs. And after the session, I said, man, you know, like it's completely different, which it is, you know, like jiu-jitsu is one thing. When you put jiu-jitsu in combat, it's not a completely different thing, but change, you know, like when the basics change a little bit. I guess the order of the things change a little bit.
Can you explain for someone that doesn't know, what's it like, and you as well, Rob, what's it like, because I don't think people fully get it. What's it like when you have someone like a Srgio Pena or Ricardo Liborio, Royler Gracie, Mario Sperry, any of those guys, when they're showing something, that what's the difference like between a good black belt and Ricardo Liborio when they're showing stuff?
I guess like, it's just night and day. It's funny because when you're learning from these guys that have been teaching for this long and they understand the techniques so well that they could do it pretty much in their sleep, their method of teaching is generally refined, if you know what I mean. Like their method of teaching is such a way that picking it up is much easier.
Yeah,
like,
they don't just know the technique, but they know how to teach it.
Yeah,
better.
they understand that gap of like teaching and learning, and it just makes picking up techniques like 10 times easier. But also, like I notice a huge thing with all these masters coming in and all these like really high level jiu-jitsu coaches, is that it's little details that they've picked up over the years that make the biggest difference in the entire technique in the entire game. You know, it's just little things that aren't a part of like the original technique, but it's something they've done and they've done for years and tested and tried and worked out, okay, if I do it like this, it's better. And like people who haven't been grappling their entire lives have no right to start fiddling with stuff like that, really. But these guys have done it. They've tried and tested these little changes to make techniques and positions stronger, better, heavier. You know, and that's just like, that's my opinion.
And so you're a third Dan black belt.
Yeah.
What's the difference with something basic, like when, from your perspective, when Srgio Pena, for instance, is showing, well, it doesn't have to be any of those guys, but is showing something as simple as side control. What's the difference between a Srgio Pena side control and a good black belt side control?
I guess it's like Rob says, the basics, and I guess a lot has to do with, takes a lot of experience to understand that some basics are very, very important. And I seen a lot of young coaches, and I was one of those who did this mistake a lot, was try to show like overdo it, show a technique that, you know, is sometimes plastic or submission or and kind of neglect the basics. And I guess like once, and I feel that's a big thing those guys bring as well. It is they know exactly what you need to know, and sometimes it's not flash. You know, it's just have a sharp, good basics.
Do they feel different when they're on top?
Srgio feels different, but you know, Srgio's.
Can you explain that?
Srgio's a freak.
Feels like a tongue.
Yeah. Can you explain what that's like?
Nah, the Srgio side control. Look, I like to think, you know, like I'm not a wussy, you know, and I thought about that when Srgio control was in my side control, but I made the decision. I'm going to sleep here, but I'm not tapping.
But can you?
It's uncomfortable, man.
So can you explain what's happening there?
It's just the way he uses his body weight. You know, he's a big dude as well, no doubt. But it's just the tails, the way he used and he explained to us, you know, the small details, you know, like push from the fingers and this and that. But mate, like he put like this. I've been making people tap on from side control since I learned the techniques from Srgio, and we all do it like easy. Rob, they do it. So it's just 30 years of.
But also, like, a huge difference is that, like, when I'm trying to do it, I'm consciously having to focus on it, and I'm getting tired trying to do it because
When you say trying to do what?
Trying to do the side control Srgio teaches. Yeah, I'm consciously trying to do it, trying to put myself in the position, and I'm getting tired trying to do it. But then you see Srgio do it.
So what's the difference? Like, what's the difference between a good person doing the side control and feeling Srgio doing the side control?
It's like riding a push bike and then driving a car. Like, the difference is huge. Like yeah, it's too big to explain it. And it's hard to explain to people because it's like they'll be like, oh, side control can't feel that heavy. Side control can't be that bad. I can't tap from side control. And it's like, nah, you can. You just haven't been put in proper side control. Like, it's terrible. Yeah. It's just terrible. But yeah, like Srgio, the way he does his side control, and just he's mastered the technique so well. It's just, it looks like he could sleep there, like in side control. He could have dinner sitting in side control. And you're dying or you're dead, and he's still eating dinner on you.
And so what's next then for you with you guys, Alex? What's been happening during Rob's camp?
The usual, you know, we actually a bit ahead of schedule, I would say, in terms of how fit, how technically sounding Rob is looking at the moment. So I guess this is a good thing.
Really looking forward to pulling guard this next fight.
Excellent.
Yep, a guard puller.
How do you?
I would not be worried about it, to be honest.
What are some of the things you see in this fight? Like, what are some of the challenges you see with Israel?
It's very experienced fight, Israel. I think it's another challenge, you know. Like, I don't like to say, like we speak a lot, he's like a bigger challenge. Man, at this level, you know, Rob is the champion. They're all huge challenge. they're just different challenge, you know. Like so, Romero was a hard challenge, and Jacare was a challenge. Israel is definitely has his dangers as well. So
that's a very good point, you know, and try to explain this to the people who interview me and as well as like fans and friends and stuff like that. To go, do you feel like this is your biggest challenge to date? And I go, no, like there's no biggest challenge. There's just the next challenge.
Different one.
Yeah, the challenge, like the word itself is just challenge. Like, you know, it's like.
But what are some of the idiosyncrasies that you see with Israel himself, or how do you see Israel?
I see him a very, very crafted striker. Like that's no news to anyone. You know, I feel that he's very calm. He knows how to dictate the pace of the match. I guess this is one of the biggest things that I see he doing when he's able to put the pace that he wants on the fight. That's become a good fight to him. You know, and the thing it is, I think not everyone can take this out of his hands, but I do believe Rob has the skill set to present a challenge for him. You know, like he will not be able to dictate the pace of the fight standing like he wants with Rob. So I think that's one of the big things. And then goes all that things, you know, they can. People say Israel he can grapple. Come on, man. Israel can grapple. He has a good takedown defense. He has a good ground game. That's the way I see him, and that's the way we're preparing for him. You know, to be sharp everywhere.
And he is very experienced, isn't he? He's. I think there's a prevailing attitude that he's like new on the scene and whatnot. But he debuted a couple of years after Rob. Like in 2012, 2013.
And how many fights he has? If you count the kickboxing fights,
probably close to 100 fights between the kickboxing and the MMA fights. I think he's had 18 fights or something in MMA. So he's definitely very, very experienced. He's a year older than Rob, so you know, he's not a kid. So it's. You know,
I would, you know, you're not gonna listen from my mouth and say, you know, like Rob's gonna do this or gonna do that, everything, because that was never my frame of mind for any of the fights. Like I always, you know, like Romero, like how come we're not gonna respect Romero's rest? How come you're not gonna respect Jacare's ground? How come, you know, like you? So what do we do is we prepare the best way we can, like to be good at everywhere. But say that, I have like all trust in the word in Rob, you know, like I know he's going to turn up, he's going to fight, and you know he has that mental aspect, that the one you don't see, you know, because you can see all the skill sets, but there's all the mental aspect as well, you know, like he's no news to anyone, he's going to turn up to fight.
You expecting it to be a good fight?
Hopefully not. Hopefully a quick one.
All right. What do you think? I actually want to ask this. What do you think about the stoppage with the women's fight on the weekend, UFC Sacramento?
Was it the main event?
Yes.
The main event. It's funny because the thing with me is like I always like lean towards favouring the ref's decision, because it's easy, very, very, very easy to sit on the outside and be like, what was that? That was an early stoppage. But you weren't in there. The call wasn't yours to make. The pressure of making the call wasn't yours to make. So shut up. Like, it's very easy to sit on the outside and be like, oh, you know. Now, in saying that, from the outside, like it looked maybe it was a bit early, but then from the inside, it could have looked differently. You know, I don't. Yeah,
she
hard.
clocked her good standing.
Yeah, it was crisp as it was super crisp, super crisp, and you know, that's another thing. Like, because we're not in that like directly like here away from the fight, the ref could have seen when that shot landed. The ref could have seen her eyes glaze over. Like, and if you've ever seen someone get knocked out close or get hurt or stunned, you can see there's a big difference with, oh, he's still in it. He's hurt, but he's still in it, opposed to, oh, she doesn't know where she is for this brief instant, and if I let this go, she's going to get hurt.
2 seconds later, you're all right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, It's like that Askren knockout. Like a week ago.
Oh no, he was out.
Yeah, he was out from the knee. Like he was like stunned, and it's like the ref, like he could have stopped it then if he could have made the distance.
But it just happened so quick.
Yeah, it happened so quick. But like that was clean knockout. But then some refs might be like, oh, he might come back. You know, he could have came back. He might still be in it. Nah, his feet were like straight. His hands were like locked out. Like,
Do you think they should have let it keep going though, or do you think it's all good that they stopped this? Not the
Askren
Askren fight. No, this one.
I think the Askren fight should have been left to go a bit longer.
The girls.
I always support the ref's decision. I believe they're doing what they think's best at the time. They have a heavy responsibility with a lot of pressure, and I support the decision. And this is coming from someone who feels a little salty from it, like an early stoppage, like in my own career, you know, because when I got dropped by Thompson, I felt I could have kept fighting, but the ref stopped it, and I was a little salty afterwards, thinking, oh, you know, I could have kept fighting, but then I shouldn't have let it get that far anyway. It was a great win for him, and the ref's doing the best job he can. So I'm supporting the ref's decision because it's a hard job to do. And if any of the people that are complaining about, like, if you think you can do better, try.
Oh, you could not pay me to do that.
Like, that is such
a hard job.
That is such a heavy responsibility. Like, because it's people's careers, it's people's livelihood.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fans and the backlash of like the fans' emotions on social media, which will like impact the decision making for the company you work for. Like, and I've seen that, and that's another thing. Like, the pressure's twice-fold because, especially in like the UFC, I've seen it happen before. We all have, when the fans get hugely upset about an early stoppage or not early stoppage. The social media backlash starts to play on the upper roles and jobs of the company, and then they start, like, your own company turns on you and starts hammering you as well. So yeah, it's such a hard job. I think he did his best, and that's that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex?
I'm with Rob. I think the punch was perfect as could be, the right hand. And, you know, definitely there is a case for early stoppage, but you got to be there, you know, when you listen the sound of the punch and the girl going down. And honestly, you know, man, who knows? If he let it go, maybe would be another 3 or 4 points on the head. So I don't know. I think it looks like an early stoppage, but I'm with Rob, I guess. You know, and I say that to the guys who compete jiu-jitsu a lot. Say, look, one of the ways to lose a match is from a referee bad decision. So, you know, just suck it in, let's go. And, you know, like, that's the way you lost.
That's another thing. It's like, like from my fight with Stephen Thompson, the problem wasn't the stoppage. The problem was me getting caught and getting dropped. And it's the same thing, I think, with the women's fight. It's like, the problem wasn't with the stoppage. It's not like you plan to take a big shot, get hurt, and then get back up from it. No, you plan not to get hit. The hit landed. It was clean. It was crisp. It is what it is. The rest is history. The decision's made.
Anyone complain about early stoppage from your Faber's fight?
I didn't hear anything about it, but that's what I was going to say. Like, what would you think of that fight?
I think, you know what, the one I think that the referee came on, because he clocked him with an overhand, right, if I'm not wrong. And then he was going to keep punching. But the referee came on the middle, and that 1 or 2 seconds the referee was in front of him, let the guy start to get back up. Because it's quick, man, you know, like you get out, you go out like 2 or 3 seconds after you up again. So
100%.
That's make hard as well, the decision of stop a fight.
That's kind of how I was explaining, like trying to say before. It's like, you don't know what the facial expressions are, or the eyes, especially the eyes, were like when he got hit and got dropped.
And your eyes gone.
Yeah, because we've seen in sparring sometimes, like you take a decent shot, like the guy, you can see he's hurt. Like, he's hurt. You know, if you see that on the ground and you give someone free rein, someone experienced like Uriah Faber, like free rein to just beat on him, he's just going to get hurt. He's going to take much more head trauma than necessary. And let us remember that the referees are in there for the safety of the fighters.
Not for the entertainment of the crowd.
Yeah.
That's his main duty.
Yeah.
The safety of
like
the fighter.
the safety of the fighters. They're not. If it wasn't that way, there would be no referee, and we'd just go hell for leather until one of us dies.
And the reality is you can't even really ask the fighters, because a lot of the fighters are going to say, I'd rather you kept it going till I went out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's...
Yeah, the referee is there to protect the fighters from themselves in a way as well, you know.
And
especially from themselves.
And you know that what you just said, that's crazy, because how you said that, like, the fighters would say, just let me go out. I would like to think I'm pretty switched on when it comes to brain trauma, and how the shots and the impact to the brain really does do damage and can hurt you and stunt you and lead to much further complications in life. But I would still say, let me die out there than pull it early. Just because that's who I am. I can't quit.
I guess that's 100% right, but you can't. That's why you have to have people in there to protect them.
100%.
Because Simon or Simon, the guy that fought Uriah Faber, I'm sure he wasn't going to quit.
No.
I'm sure Aspen Ladd wasn't going to quit, but someone has to get in there and go, no, well, this isn't that.
But answer your question, I think that was not an early stop. That was a good stoppage.
Both fights?
The Faber one. Another one, I think there was a case, but I'm with Rob. Like, I don't like to, say anything about the referee's job, because I think it's a very, very high job, and it's a quick decision he made, and
And Askren and Lawler, what do you think about that then, in that scenario?
Yeah.
That was I don't want to put myself in controversy here, but I think if Askren was not going to let it go, the choke. That's what I think. The referee stopped it, but he was going to stop to squeeze. Now he would keep squeezing. So, but something here, a choke is something that I think the referee is easier for the referee to let it go. A choke than someone getting hit on the face. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but in the position he was in, and he kind of went limp. You seen him go limp for a sec. How long do you let him keep choking for?
That's the thing, I don't want to
talk
bad things. It's such a high job, but I'm on the case in a choke. Let the guy go out fully.
But
he's not gonna die, if you don't kill people choking.
Yeah,
people.
but
you know better than anyone.
No, but we're gonna cover that story after this.
What was I going to say? Well, I'll talk about.
He nearly killed me once, that.
No, I know.
In Chicago.
I know. I want to hear the story after.
Place.
No. Before we get to that, any stories?
I can make a court case out of it. Let's register it.
Askren though, Robbie kind of went, or looked like he went limp.
I believe that as well. I don't care if you were good. If you look like you're out, you're out.
And so if you kind of went limp, how much longer, I'm saying to you, is it okay to keep choking someone?
At least a good 4 seconds, I think.
Just for good measure.
A good 4 seconds.
Maybe, yeah, because Askren would keep squeezing.
But at least a good 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. To finish this conversation, I don't think he would stop to squeeze, and that's my whole point. It was a good stoppage.
A choke that was left on longer than it needed to be was the Machida, when John Jones had that choke, the standing guillotine.
That was a brutal one, eh?
Yeah,
you remember that?
And he opened on the social media that he let the guy go. Remember that?
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Like he choked him.
Yeah, but the ref didn't stop it. I don't think. But the choke was so on, and then he went out. And that was a good 4 seconds.
Yeah, but what about if the guy was faking? That he was getting out?
No, he was dead.
That was fat thing. He thought I was faking.
Okay, we should bring it up. But please tell us the story.
He has to tell the story. It's his story.
No.
I'll tell you. I'll tell a story. I was rolling. There's a guy who teaches at UFC Bankstown gym now. He teaches the grappling there. UFC Bankstown. His name's Gordian Stojevski. He's pretty sure he's like a convicted war criminal. Once we were rolling. And he doesn't roll like a normal person. He rolls like you broke into his house at 3 a.m. every time. and he got me in a head arm choke, and I wasn't going to get out of it, and it was my arm was across me like this, and I looked at it, and I could see his crazy eyes looking at me like this, and you know he squeezed me so hard he went out. That's a true story. That's a true story with Guillotine. The other stories, they're not my stories. They're Alex's stories.
Knowing him, it's not hard to believe, right? That Guillotine choking himself.
No, I can believe it.
He choked himself.
I can
Trying to
believe
choke
it.
me.
No, tell us the story. Tell us the story in Chicago, Fab.
It's not my story to tell, mate.
Hey?
It's not my story to tell.
What do you mean?
It's not my story.
How isn't it?
It's just...
Alex, please enlighten us.
It's not my story. I can't tell that story about... I can't tell the story. If Alex wants to tell the story...
So with myself and Fab, we train there, and as usual, we train quite, you know, like we don't train light, myself and Fab. I mean, even he being 10 years younger than me, he always comes to a hard match. And I think he nearly got me in one of the dice chokes he liked to have, you know, the ones he neck crank you and he kills you. Yeah. And somehow I somersault out of it. Like I put up effort to get out, and I got out. Then we trained and he got me again. And then, you know, I start to went out and I start to shake, and you know, when you go out, and he thought I was trying to do something to get out, and he kept squeezing me a bit, you know, I don't know how many was. I said, "Man, why you didn't let me go?" He said, "Nah, I thought you shaking to get out." That's why he
thought you were thrashing.
It was the Schultz choke, the Schultz choke, like one. What's that guy's name? The guy from
Srgio shows these as well.
Yeah, no, oh my God, the guy that got Matt Hughes.
Matt Hughes got Ricardo Almeida.
Yeah. Anyways, it's like a front headlock choke, and I had it, and I could feel Alex shaking, but like shaking, trying to get off, and I thought in my head I was like, nah, but anyone that knows him, fuck him, and so I had it, and I was like, you know what? You're not getting out of this. And I fucking squeezed. And then, like, he was shaking. And I thought, this guy's...
Mate, people start, you remember, because we in another...
Yeah, well, it's Daniel Viana's
gym. Everybody looking to us, fuck, these guys are crazy.
They're trying to kill each other.
And for the record here, we train with a lot of guys, and we're very polite, training with everybody. It was just me and Fab, you know, like when we train with each other, I don't know what I did wrong for him there.
And when I let him go, his eyes were open. He was foaming, like he's going like that. And I honestly thought I killed him. I was like, fuck, I killed him.
You needed it.
Was that before or after you let go of the choke?
No, after I let go of the choke, because his eyes were open and he's like foaming.
Still holding.
But I don't feel bad. I don't, because he doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck. If he doesn't care how much he hurts me or anyone else. So I don't feel bad.
That's just game either. As well.
I don't feel bad at all.
That's the game.
All right, do you want to do some Q&A?
Yes. I know there was a lot of interest in the Q&A from yesterday. Sorry to everyone that tried to tune in on the Twitch stream last night as well. I didn't realize that ESO had maintenance and was down for the night. So
all right, I'm going to go first then. So I'm going to read. Why do you think Dave? Can you go down, please, with the thing?
Fab is a psychopath confirmed.
So it says here. No. There was one. Okay. Anyway, why do you think guillotines are so hard to secure in MMA? It seems you often see fighters put themselves in bad positions going for them, i.e. Woodley versus Stephen Thompson. Can we minimize the screen? So what do you think, Alex?
So sorry.
So it says, why do you think guillotines are hard to secure in MMA? Or do you think they are?
I think, depends who is the guy. Some guys guillotine is a they think, so I don't know. I don't think they are hard to secure, and I don't know. I think it's a risk submission. That's what I think. Especially you change top position go for guillotine. I think guillotine gotta be your thing. Of course, depends the timing of the fight. If it's the end of the round or something, but it's something that I'm not very keen of.
If you're gonna end up on the bottom.
If you're gonna end up on the bottom, because that's why you gamble there. Submission or end up on the bottom. So I think any submission is hard to secure in MMA. Any
Why is
submission is
that?
hard to secure.
Why?
Because they're all tough, athletic guys, you know, like they know, you know, the timing as well.
And I think there's
Time after
other
rounds.
there's other factors like you're punching, so your arms are fatigued. You've been hit. You might have caught body shots.
You sweat. And another thing is sometimes you don't wanna. It's a fine line there. Maybe you get a guillotine first round and you blow your arms on the first round trying to squeeze the guillotine. When you go up to punch again, you know it's gonna be hard. You're gonna be slow with your arms. So there's all those factors, you know, to consider. But say that Jacob has a great guillotine.
Yeah.
You know, like I would not mind him. Then something that I work like we work a lot with him. It is retreat from the guillotine if it's not on position again, and it's something that I like to believe he does quite well. So you know, I think don't know if I answered the question, but
What do you think?
Yeah, I very much agree with everything Alex just said. But I think one more factor in regards to like the guillotine is that I feel that sometimes the guillotine choke is kind of like a Hail Mary. I feel like you are super tired and the guy shoots on you and you might be losing, or the idea of defending the takedown just seems too much work or too hard, and you go for that easy.
And it's not your actual move.
Yeah.
It's not like Nate Diaz or Damien Meyer putting
like,
guillotine
you
on
don't
you.
pop guillotines on everyone. Like you're like, maybe I can get a win here, like an easier win. You know, I don't know. It's just like I feel like it's the easier of the two options. It's like stuff the takedown, work hard.
You don't have enough energy to stuff the takedown no more.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm losing or I'm not. I'm so tired. I don't want to stuff this takedown. I don't want to wall wrestle. Like, and obviously you're not consciously thinking of all these things, but they're playing out in your head at light speed, and you're like, I'll just go for it. I'll just go for it. And I know a lot of guys, like, especially it's especially prevalent in like the amateur scene and the early MMA career. Like everyone's just like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. And I think honestly, I think the guillotine is notorious for just being that Hail Mary, hoping you can get it and getting that win that way.
Okay, Dave, what's we got another question? Masvidal versus Usman. What do you think?
great fight.
Who you got in that fight?
Well, hard fight to pick someone. I don't like to bet against Masvidal. I'm a kind of a fan of him.
And you, Rob?
Masvidal and Usman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Askren would do better.
I didn't get to see a lot of Askren,
I
but
know, to his defense.
but Usman doesn't grapple. He's not the same kind of grappler, not the same kind of wrestler as that.
Yeah, but Usman has like the cardio and spam ability to just keep shooting.
So does Askren.
No, yeah, but I mean but the difference is like Askren does the same entrance every single fight. And if that knee didn't connect, then we may have seen a very different fight. You know, I think I think Masvidal has all the tools to win, but I think Usman will be a hard test because Masvidal has been taken down before.
Gun to your head, who do you think? Gun to your head, who do you think?
If Usman rocks up like he did with Woodley, probably Usman. To spam shots 5 rounds like the way he did.
I just don't.
Masvidal's been taken down.
Yeah, but he's never been. Oh, he's been submitted. He's been
But
back in
You
his
lose
day.
fights by getting taken down. You lose fights by getting taken down.
Yeah,
And even if you get back up, Usman has the cardio to keep firing.
over 5 rounds with the no.
He did that.
I know. But what I was going to say to you was over 5 rounds, Masvidal's striking is very crisp.
Yeah, he is.
Very, very, very crisp, and he is a good wrestler.
He's very dynamic
Yeah.
with striking too.
And his jiu-jitsu's good too. Like Damien Meyer had him down and couldn't. He got back up from Damien Meyer. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. That'd be a very interesting
Great
fight.
fight. Yeah,
I like Usman a lot, but I'm a big fan of Masvidal. Always been a big fan of Masvidal's. What else we got? Can we go down a little bit, Dave?
Maximize the screen.
Rob, did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah, I grew up doing karate and playing rugby league.
What level rugby league did you play?
Park.
Which position you played again?
Started in the centers,
I would say
and
so.
then ended up moving into like a lock position by the end. Like I think I got up to like some development squads and stuff like SG and stuff like that, but I never really made it. Did a couple seasons of OzTag,
OzTag.
mixed Ds.
Mixed D's OzTag.
I was like a god amongst those people.
That's like gladiator school.
I was like a god.
You don't mix D's.
No,
You don't.
No.
So there's 4 divisions: A, B, C, and D. D's the lowest, right? And he played mixed D's, so men and women's, 4th division. Did you cover it up?
Mate, I was like a god. I was a leaf in the wind. Like no one could come near me. And the pace I would set, unbelievable.
And you just crushed him with your killer cardio, eh?
Mate, the agility I had was just ridiculous. But you know what's funny? Like, was the amount of like old dudes that are playing that game in mixed D's and trying to start fights.
I was going to say to you, how prevalent is that? I played an AFL, you know, the same thing as OzTag, but for AFL.
Yeah.
I played that and it was mixed comp. This is a few years ago. And people were starting fights. I swear to God. And I remember this clearly. And anyone who played with me on that team will remember. I was running with the ball in AFL. And I had the right build for AFL. So I was enjoying it. And a guy, we had tags. And a big fat guy, you know who you are if you're listening, big fat degenerate, tackled me, like dead set tackled me. And I got up and I said, oh, what are you doing? And he goes to me, oh, if you can't handle this, you don't play. And I was like, dude, it's fucking mixed tag. What are you doing?
Wrong game.
Mate, it was.
Yeah, no.
There's heaps of them, but.
No, they're everywhere. And like, a dude would make a break and you'd lunge and go for the tag as hard as you could. And maybe there was a little slap involved. Like, it happens. You're swinging for tags. Like, it happens. And the dude would staunch all the time. Like, big time. And you know what's worse? Like, in mixed, is like sometimes it's a guy and his wife. So you tag his wife, but accidentally slap too hard, and he G's up. And you're like, you're playing mixed OzTag with your wife, dude. Like, chill yourself.
Oh man.
What's the next one? What do we got? Rob, do you find it difficult coming from Australia in terms of gaining more of an international presence?
This is a good question. That's a very good question.
That's an excellent question, mate.
I think, a little bit, because for the obvious reasons. One, I'm in Australia, and the time differences are different, as well as like, I think there's some cultural and social differences that make translating a little bit hard, especially when the distance is honestly like a 20-hour flight. Like that's a big difference. And I think a second one is like, it's hard for me to have a presence in the US without being in the US, going to US events, showing my face on US stuff in US hours. Like,
it's hard. I think it's hard for you in particular to do that with a family as well, with kids. Like, it's not like you can just stay an extra week. You know what I mean? And miss you, apart from missing training, but also staying the extra week, not seeing, kids and whatnot. So that makes it a little bit difficult as well.
It is hard. It is hard. It is hard.
It was a good win for Jacob. What were your thoughts on Wollongong Wars 7? So Wollongong Wars 7 was a local show run by Alex Volkanovski's coach, Joe Lopez. And
Snake Pit.
In the Snake Pit. And Jacob the Mamba, Malkoon, he thought that name up by himself.
Fitting name for the Snake Pit.
Very, very good fight. He actually fought a very good fighter from Tiger Muay Thai, who's very, very experienced. Belgian, went to the Olympics for judo. He's had something like 14 fights or something. Jacob, that was his 3rd professional fight going in. He's about to have his third professional boxing fight as well. And I don't know, Alex, what do you think of that? Jacob's
about
fight and the whole show.
The whole show was the venue. I thought was a nice venue, like big venue, and Jacob was like perfect performance. I would put it like perfect. Everything with training he did. Of course, he could do better, but I think that's gonna come with experience. I think he's not sure about how much energy he can expand yet. He doesn't know exactly how much. Like he can let it go before he start to gas it out there. I think that's the fine, and it is a fine line. But a part of it, I think he was like outstanding performance. He controlled the whole fight.
And just got the stoppage.
Opponent got the stoppage. Perfect.
I don't think he could have done any better.
You don't think he's that good?
No.
That's it for Jacob.
Yeah, that's his ceiling. It's pulling on balls. No, I don't think he could have done anything better because that's where his amount of experience capped him out at. I think he did everything that, combined with the amount of experience he has, allowed him to do it. I think the only way he could have done anything differently is if he had had more experience, which he couldn't have had without having
more experience. Very good. Very philosophical. Very, very philosophical.
How you guys saw the fight? Because I remember on the before the third round, Jacob asked me, I won the second round. I said, mate, I won the 2 rounds. He said, mate, clear. You won the 2 rounds. I said, are you sure? He asked me. So how you guys saw this? Like because for me it was clear as crystal that he was controlling the whole fight, winning that he won the first and the second round.
I thought he won both rounds. I thought the first one was closer than the second.
I thought. See, I didn't think the first round was that close either. I thought Jacob won both rounds 10-9. Like I didn't
clear, like no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah. I didn't see the first round that clear, that close.
Like I said he won both rounds. Yeah. But I thought the first was closer than the second.
But but like, that's what I'm saying. I didn't think that. I thought the first round he won it comfortably, and the second one just the same. But see, Jacob thought that he lost the second.
He asked me, I won this round as well because I told him you won this round. And the second round, he said, you won both rounds, mate. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I the whole time, the only thing was, obviously it's a fight, and I was worried the guy might land something, like might land a big right hand or something. But other than that, I thought Jacob was controlling it. And I was impressed because the other guy was good.
Like, he was dungeon all the way.
Yeah, he was very experienced.
Yeah. What's next, Dave?
So how do you find new techniques to incorporate into your fighting game?
Fab?
All of this. Yeah, Fab.
How do we find new techniques for Rob?
Yeah.
Well, Alex. So how do you find new techniques for Rob?
I guess like I could come up with a pretty answer, but we just training. That's what we do. You train and you evolve. That's what you do. And of course, when it comes fighting time, Fab is very good at watching videos and analyze and come with little details that I don't even worry too much because I know he'll watch hours and hours of videos and fights of the opponents. But bottom line it is, man, you need to train. You need to know how to grapple. You need to know how to just train.
When there's no fight lined up, we do experiment with new stuff. We just sit in the syllabus.
I think there's a few things. So the first one is there's a lot of specific competitions. So Rob does wrestling competitions, jiu-jitsu competitions, and that in and of itself makes you because the jiu-jitsu guys, like Alex said, they're training and doing jiu-jitsu and they're constantly evolving, and it's very hard for someone like Rob that isn't focusing entirely on jiu-jitsu to be up to date with all the jiu-jitsu techniques. So, because that's constantly evolving. So when he goes and competes in that particular field, it forces you to have that level of improvement and evolution. And same as with the wrestling, he'll go and wrestle in wrestling comps, and the wrestlers are always on top of their game too, and always competing at their upper echelons of their sport. And so you're trying hard as you can to bridge that gap. And also lucky enough to be able to box and kickbox with some very high level strikers. Jaya Patea, who's now by far the best cruiserweight in Australia, and will be one of the better guys in the world for sure. Rob gets to box with him as well. So trying to just keep up to date with them creates an evolutionary process. And also I think as you prepare for each fight, each fighter brings a new dynamic. And so that makes you have to evolve as well. So that's, and then we have, like Alex said, we have Srgio Pena come in, we have Ricardo Laborio come in, we have a whole bunch of different guys come in. Craig Jones was with us for the last camp. So they all bring a wealth of knowledge. And then we have a whole bunch, we have over, 250 students and members in the gym. And everyone has their own way of, there might be white belts or blue belts or whatever that have their own way of passing the guard, or they're just whatever, and you have to evolve with them as well. So being on the mats constantly, like Alex said, is probably the short answer, and then the breakdown is what I said.
You made a good point. In train the specific martial arts is a big thing. I think that we do. I'm not saying that we do right. That's our way to do. Like, of course, there's another ways to prepare to improve, but I think that's something that works for us, that we do. We train a lot of jiu-jitsu, we train a lot of wrestling, we train a lot of boxing. And you can't go wrong.
What's next, Dave?
Yep. So this is more in response to you choking out, really destroying Alex in a choke. Has there been any fights, all of you, if you've ever been in a fight where someone's really pissed you off, and what do you normally do in that situation?
Alex does that every fucking day. He said one story about one time I choke him. He doesn't care. He does not care. Like, he hurts people more. He has hurt more people than polio. So it's not like he honestly, he's choked me out a lot more times than I've ever choked him. And so if I'd have killed him, I wouldn't have felt bad. So that I don't feel bad at all.
Rob, is there someone that you've been fighting halfway through a fight and they've got to you? And
yeah, James Vanderakis.
I
try to kill him every session.
So is the question like, have you gotten, has it gotten out of hand between us?
A mix. I think I'm still trying. It was just more generally, if you've been in a fight, like, how do you stay composed? I think that's part of the question as well. Like, where if someone's pressuring you and they're shit talking you during the fight, have you ever just lost your shit and just went fully at them?
Well, in my opinion, I haven't, but I'm good at that. Like, it's kind of, I'm very good at cutting off my emotions and just going cold when I need to fight. Like, it's just what I'm good at. But then there's times when I'm not fighting and people get under my skin, like my wife. Sophia, shout out.
What about you, Alex? Tuesday with a postman.
I don't fight. I don't fight, so I don't know. I can't answer that.
But you've you fought before?
Yeah, but man,
but never.
Don't even remember that.
Yeah. All right, what's next, Dave?
This is a dietary question. So, what do you normally eat during this training period up to a camp?
For Alex or for Rob?
For Rob. All of you. What do you all eat?
I just try to stay clean. So I just try to eat clean foods, nothing too deep fried.
Give me an example. So, for example, what would you have eaten today?
Like today, me personally, I don't like eating breakfast before a morning session, so I'll just have a coffee and then train. That's just me. And then afterwards.
But when you get up, what do you have?
Water.
Yeah, how much water?
Yeah. So as soon as I wake up, before and from the moment I wake up to, I don't know, an hour and a half before the session starts, I try to drink at least 2 liters of water. You got to stay hydrated because I'll lose that easily. And then from after that session to the next session, it's about drinking as much water as I can to try to get my piss clear before the next one. I need to stay hydrated. And then after the next session, it's the same thing.
And the food that you have in between.
And so yeah, like today we went up the street. I ordered like a chicken wrap, some sweet potato fries, and a green smoothie. You see there, with some coconut water for the electrolytes. And then after this, I'll go home. I may have another meal. You know, it depends what my wife has cooked, but it's usually something to do with rice, maybe some chicken, something like along those lines, and then I'll train again and then have dinner when I get home. It's usually I usually try to stay to the cleaner sort of carbs, so like your rices. Yeah, I eat a lot of rice. Rice is pretty good. Potato.
And then for dinner?
It depends, you know. A lot of credit goes to my wife. She's the one that prepares all my meals and stuff. But like I'll have chicken and rice, depending on how close or how close I am to a fight. Further out, I'll have chicken thigh because it's like the fattier part of the chicken and it's nicer. So I'll have chicken thigh and rice with greens, or closer to the fight, I'll have chicken breast, rice, and greens. Now, that's a pretty standard dinner that you whip up pretty quickly.
Sounds like a barrel of fun.
Chicken thigh and rice is good.
It's okay.
Some soy sauce, bit of mayonnaise.
There's obviously a lot of questions around Adesanya. So this is, what did you take away from the face-off with him?
I don't know.
Did you learn something new about him?
No.
Fair enough. A lot of the questions are it's the same sort of stuff. You know, do you see yourself bashing him up and blah blah blah?
Yes.
Yes. I thought that was a bit obvious.
Yes,
That one. The other ones are just going at Fab's head. Fab, how often do you polish your head?
I surprisingly enough do not polish my head. I shave my head every now and then. Now that I don't have, like, unless I've got like some corporate engagement or something, I just fucking go wild. When I have a corporate engagement, I shave my head. Shave my head and my face.
Maybe we get started on what everyone's waiting for.
What's that?
You want me to start
Rematch.
Let's do it. Let's do the thing. I want to see Alex versus you in Mortal Kombat.
No, you should versus him for
Oh,
number one
okay.
contender.
Excellent. Let's go.
Alex versus Fab, number one contender spot.
I never played this my whole life.
Good.
Good.
And
Remember, it's still on.
Give me some tips.
Hey?
Give me
Alex,
some
Rob
tips.
doesn't know how
Just
to
don't let
block.
him get in your head.
Rob doesn't know how to block. He doesn't know. He has no idea how to block.
You don't need to block.
Alex, is there any young guys that you know of coming up in Brazil or the US or anything like that? Any other guys that you might know, or someone that to keep your eye on?
In what, MMA?
MMA or jiu-jitsu?
Nah, not really. Not really. I'm a bit out of the scene, especially the jiu-jitsu scene. I know that some guys doing well in they're training for a friend of mine in Brazil, but they are already well-established, well-known guys at the moment. If you made me this question a year or two ago, I would throw their names, but not at the moment.
Who was that? Who are you talking about?
I talk about Mario Reis.
Okay.
He's a good friend of mine who started jiu-jitsu with me, and he has a bunch of good athletes that have been winning everything, like world championships and that.
Okay. How do you?
Then we have, of course, Eduardo Pena.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Srgio Pena's son. That's doing very well in college wrestling at the moment. He's been thinking and talking about maybe migrate to MMA. So
Well, no, I was speaking to him about a week ago, and Duda was saying he's about to have his first amateur fight.
there we go.
What do you think about that? About Duda being a purple belt? You think he's a purple belt?
Brown, got promoted.
Oh, he's a brown belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
About time, mate. The sandbagger.
Yeah, I saw this.
He's still playing if he thinks he's brown.
Yeah. He's a
I think Srgio was going to. Was Srgio's coach Osvaldo Alves was. It is well known for skip the brown belt.
okay.
Actually, that happens with Srgio. He went from purple to black.
Okay.
So I told that Srgio was preparing to do that with Duda, which
No.
I'm not saying telling Srgio what to do by any means, but that would be okay for Duda to be straight to black belt, in my opinion.
I think so. I think he's been a black belt for a
Maybe a
little while.
black belt to the grease straight.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. He's gonna be very, very good in
He's unreal.
You think? What do you think of Duda for MMA, Srgio Pena's son?
Oh, well, there's obviously a lot of factors that go into MMA, and we won't know until he hops in there and has a go. But if I were to make like an assumption now, I think he'd be great. His wrestling is top caliber. His grappling is top caliber. I went into when I was in Vegas last week, I went to Srgio Pena's school and grappled Duda, and he killed me constantly.
He's a little guy too.
He's tiny. He's not
fully grown.
He's like 60 kilos.
Yeah.
And I'm close to 100, and he was all over me. Like it wasn't.
Do you think he's good or you're bad?
I think a healthy combination of the two.
Nah, he's super good, eh? Super good.
Here we go.
All right.
Here we go. The moment everybody's been waiting for. So there you go, coach.
What I do?
You pick a character.
That's you, Fab.
I'm the blue one.
Yeah, so you pick one. Pick a character.
Oh, this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It doesn't matter.
Pick that one. Get my neck ready, mate.
This is for number one contender.
This is for the number one contender. Ready, Alex?
I'm not, but let's go.
He's got a...
Oh, Fab.
Have you been practicing, dude?
Nah. Oh! Yes!
One more.
There could be two more. Depends if he wins.
Come on, man.
Oh, mate, I don't muck around, buddy. Anyone that knows Alex is cheering against him right now, I can tell you right now. Look, he knows how to block, this guy.
How do you block? What button do you block?
Alex knows how to block, mate. He knows the basics. Look at this, look at this.
He's blocking. I didn't know blocking was a thing.
His combat instincts are better than yours, Rob. Wow.
No, but seriously, what button block?
How you throw this thing, Fab?
You can't.
I'll show you. Look,
You can't.
Just stand still for a sec. No, you got to stand upright.
Don't listen to me.
I tried to understand you.
I won. You're next, Rob.
No, don't worry. I tried to find you as well.
Hey, what button was block? Do you know that's a thing now? Like on my Twitch and everything, everyone's just like, "How do you block?" Hey, Rob, how do you block? That's all I hear now.
So is it out of three?
All right,
Let's go, Rob.
the rematch everybody's been waiting for.
All right.
He's been training.
What button is block button?
No idea.
I'll show you. Just stand still for a sec.
Uh-oh.
Who's who?
I'm the blue one. No! Block, you fuck! Sub-Zero wins.
I think my controller's broken.
And still.
I think my controller's broken.
Yeah, it must be.
Fuck.
Heavy's been training for sure.
Oh! And still I'm the best! I'm the best! Gracias, mamá y papá, por todo. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you, guys. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Grange
I think my
TV.
controller was broken.
From your champion, Fabricio Adair, undisputed and undefeated. You saw it here, guys. Thank you very much. Tune in next time, guys. Follow Alex Prates on Instagram. He loves it. Got about 8 million followers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.